Let's pray. O eternal God, bless all schools, colleges, and universities, and especially Wayland Academy, that they may be lively centers for sound learning, new discovery, and the pursuit of wisdom. And grant that those who teach and that those who learn may find you to be the source of all truth. Amen.
Mr. Sullivan, Ms. Greenwood, Mr. Leonard, faculty, staff, administration, students, parents, guests, and friends of the senior class. As president of the class of 2015, I want to welcome you all to this commencement. To any adorable pets of our class, like my own, I give my apologies since they unfortunately cannot be here. Let me begin by thanking all of you for supporting us as we walk across this stage. The journey to acquire our diplomas may not have been Mickey Mouse, like Mr. Locke says, but it's certainly been worth it. You all have watched us change into better people since we've attended Wayland. There have been some minor changes, like the length of Sophie's and Taylor's hair. However, our character has remained constant. Our friends and teachers around us lend us a helping hand to gain confidence and to transform into the seniors you see sitting before you. Together, our classes thrive on helping each other and embracing our own diversity. We continue to love each other and make the best of our situations. Although many of our greatest plans appear at the last minute, we work together to create the best outcome possible. The skits for our pep rally are a perfect example of our class's growth and togetherness, however last minute they may have been. As little rambunctious freshmen, we decided to stand and do some sort of stomp dance thing. To this day, I have no clue of the exact name of what we did, but we stood together, attempted our plan, but eventually let Milo show off his breakdancing skills. Sophomore year, the last few hours before the pep rally, we spent finishing our props as we attempted to build the outline of an upright 10-foot TV. Let's just say the only reason we managed to pull that one together was lots and lots of duct tape and effort. Junior year, the hours before the pep rally consisted of us meeting in the day student lounge to rehearse our completely unfinished skit, which portrayed the seniors as senior citizens. Yes, our class procrastinated a ton, all 3 years, but we worked together as a team and never took last place in our skits, and even winning first place a few times. This year, our class knew we needed to show the underclassmen how a real senior skit is supposed to pan out. We had many meetings before the pep rally to discuss our two-part skit. We succeeded to win first place at the pep rally. We also accomplished another win as we scared all the underclassmen when we turned off the gym lights. Our class prides itself in our acceptance for one another and our love for fun. We have so many countries and ethnicities represented in our class that you can constantly hear multiple languages being spoken as you walk through the senior lounge. While our first languages may be different, we are able to communicate with our hearts. Today, I stand here sharing my thoughts not only with you, my classmates, but with the people important to us. As a freshman, I would never have dreamt that I would be speaking to you at our commencement. However, you, my friends, and teachers have helped me grow in confidence. I will carry that confidence and my memories of your support and friendship as we go our separate ways. Our distance in the future may be great, but our friendship built at Wayland will always find its way across many miles, states, and even countries. Embrace yourself, stay confident, and keep having fun. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, and let me add my welcome to this commencement ceremony. There's a little bit of editing I need to let you all know about. In the program, it does say that the chair of the board, Mr. Lupi, is going to distribute diplomas. Unfortunately, he went to the airport yesterday in Houston, and then several hours later took a taxi home. The weather, the American Airlines, we're getting trouble here, okay? But everybody let him down, and there was no way he could get here. So fortunately, Mr. Bernie Sullivan, class of '69, is standing in for him, and we appreciate his being here. 13, salutatorian, has attended Wayland for 4 years, is a boarding student. In addition to all the required activities and participation, Savannah has sought out ways to be involved in areas that interest her and in which she can share her talents. She's been involved in junior classic league, inside and outside of all of the classes. One of her teachers described her as an articulate learner who is quick to ask questions for the sake of the knowledge, not to help her grade. Another teacher appreciates that she brings skills from other academic areas seemingly unrelated to her other classes. With her cross-curricular savvy, she will continue to grow intellectually from taking a variety of courses in college. Savannah has achieved success in all areas of Wayland life. In the fall, she'll be attending the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. Gives me great pleasure to introduce the salutatorian of the class of 2015, Savannah Warren.
Solvente omnes. If you have ever been to a junior classical league convention, you may recognize this as the way all speeches begin. It translates to hello all and is related to saludo at the base of salutatorian, meaning to greet. When I went to my first ACL convention, I literally got goosebumps as I heard an entire convention center full of people respond Salve. If I hadn't come to Wayland, there would have been no way I could have had that experience. When I came here as a freshman 4 years ago, there were a few things I expected to learn. I expected to learn creative problem-solving skills. Check. I expected to make lifelong friends. Check. I expected to find the athlete within me. Well, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. What I was unprepared for was how deeply meaningful the lessons I learned would be outside of Wayland's curriculum. Pre-Wayland, I grew up as an only child living in a forest with the nearest kids being miles away. This led to my becoming a very shy and unfortunately very awkward middle schooler. I would scurry through the hallways between classes, keeping my head down and hoping not to attract any attention. Once, in a thick crowd of people, a physically imposing dark-haired boy I didn't know very well yelled out to me, "Who do you think you are, pushing people like you're somebody?" It occurred to me then that I wasn't somebody. Encounters like these silenced me, and I felt like it was me against my classmates, a battle I wasn't interested in fighting. It was here that my 8th grade algebra teacher approached me and suggested I research boarding schools. She saw her own apprehensive self reflected in me and feared my anxiety would persevere through college. Luckily, my parents were wise and selfless and finally agreed to send me to a boarding school. I had plans freshman year to reinvent myself, to find the courage to approach people I never would have talked to otherwise, but I wasn't really sure how to do this. Thankfully, my mother always had advice for me. She told me that people would always become friends with the one in the room who had free food. So she kept my room stocked with ramen I could hand out to other hungry freshmen. I suppose it worked. I always had a crowd of people in my room, which became known as the party room due to my roommates and my food supply. But I was always nervous that these people only hung out with me for the free food. At the end of freshman year, I was proven wrong. A group of freshmen and I spent an extra night in the dorms after finals before we all parted ways for the summer. The weather was dark, rainy, and cold, but we decided to go out to the earthy-smelling Ella field anyway. My friend Swarnima and I trudged through the squishy grass, blaring songs on her second-generation iPod while trying to protect it from the falling water. On her shuffle, Adele's Set Fire to the Rain came on, and it seemed appropriate that we would dance wildly and sing at the top of our lungs, improvising lyrics every now and then. I remember I did a crazy jump, kicking my legs in the air, and slipped on the wet grass as I landed in the mud. But Swarnima and I laughed and laughed as I tried to play it off. That night, during our lunch sleepover, I looked around and realized Wayland did give me real friends, not just ones bought by ramen. Later on in sophomore year, I came across the most academically challenging class I have ever taken, AP US History. I remember trying desperately to grasp onto words that seemed to fly out of Miss Alpaw's mouth straight past me. To all of you who knew or had Miss Alpaw, you may remember the caliber of her tests. I remember staying up until 4 a.m. studying, only to receive C's. At one point, I became so desperate that I entered her office, tears streaming down my face, pleading with her to forgive me if I failed the AP test. Expecting some sort of sympathetic pep talk, I instead received, "Savannah, if you say you're going to fail one more time, I'm going to spank you." From Miss Alpha, I learned that hard work would not always yield flawless results, but the skills I developed and perseverance earned me a 4 on that AP. Lessons are not always so straightforward as you expect them to be. This year, I've learned to approach new obstacles with an open mind, not assuming the lessons I will find therein. I took classes not necessarily because I thought that I would be good at them or that they would benefit me in college, but because I wanted to learn the subject. It is in this way that I joined AP European History this year, despite all my late night studying in sophomore year. This attitude also allowed me to take advantage of new social experiences, like joining clubs and involving myself at our senior class trip. Instead of assuming that people spoke to me only for their own gain, I learned to listen and trust in the security of my friendships. I urge you all to do the same. Wayland is a place of remarkable open-mindedness. By approaching situations openly, you can learn a lot about others, and even some new things about yourself. Sometimes you find exactly what you expect in a situation, but often the most noteworthy lessons come from unexpected places. Thank you.
Thank you, Savannah. I'm very pleased to present the commencement speaker for the class of 2015, Ms. Shelley Greenwood. I will admit to you up front, I'm a bit biased here in my assessment of Shelley since we've known each other for about 100 years or so. Way back, okay? I'm thankful that she was able to take time out of the schedule and agree to be with us this morning. Ms. Greenwood received her diploma from Wayland Academy, presented on this very stage in 1973. She received a Bachelor of Science degree from New York University in Educational Theater in 1977, a Master of Science degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in Educational Administration in 1984. She's done additional graduate work at Columbia University while a Commencement fellow and at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Ms. Greenwood has had a distinguished career her entire professional life in independent schools. From 1978 to 1987, she was Director of Student Activities, Coordinator of Drama, a Fine Arts teacher, and Director of Admissions and Financial Aid here at Wayland. From 87 to 90, she was head of school at the Minnesota Conservatory of Performing Arts in the Twin Cities. Since the early 90s, Ms. Greenwood has filled various positions at the Latin School of Chicago, where she is currently the Vice President for Advancement and the interim head of the lower school, one of her favorite assignments at her school. She has also done 2 stints at the Latin School as interim head of school. While a student at the Academy, Shelley was an avid participant in theater and was presented numerous thespian awards. At the 1973 commencement, she was awarded the Alumni Memorial Service Award for making valuable contributions to Wayland through unselfish service and generous giving of her time and talents. In her copious free time, Ms. Greenwood continues to sing the choir in Chicago and also serves as a member of the Board of Trustees here at Wayland. Shelley's accompanied here today by her husband, John Lincoln, her son, Sam, and Shelley's mother, Barbara Greenwood. We welcome you all. Her father was also a member of the Board of Trustees before. Generally, before people approach this microphone, I know exactly what they're going to say. This time I don't have a clue, and I'm not worried in the least. I'm very proud to present you a dedicated teacher, an independent school person, and one of your fellow graduates of the Academy, Shelley Greenwood of the class of '73.
families, students, alumni, friends, and members of the class of 2015. Thank you for the honor of serving as your commencement speaker this morning. Although I have been on this stage many times, I could never have imagined it would be in this role. I hope you will indulge me as I share my Wayland story. Believe it or not, my goal is not to have you learn about Shelley Greenwood, but to understand how this place shaped every moment of her future. Truly, you'll see. I almost never got here, but the first piece of luck was my sister did. I grew up in Rockford, Illinois. I am a boomer, by the way, as in baby boomer. And I believe you are millennials, right? Well, Rockford had so many school-aged children that my sister was forced to attend a high school with over 4,000 students. My parents wondered if this would be the best environment for her. But what were their choices? My dad had a friend whose daughter was at a place called Wayland. He encouraged my parents to consider this possibility for Jody. Send her away to a boarding school? Not at all what they were imagining, but they did the drive to Beaver Dam, a drive they would end up repeating literally hundreds of times in the future. And Jody never looked back. By the time she graduated 2 years later, she had an amazing educational experience. She was even a member of the award-winning folk group that Wayland had called So Alone. They made a recording and were almost selected to replace the New Christie Minstrels for the Ford Motor Company commercials. I know, who were the New Christie Minstrels? Well, Jody went on to Northwestern University, well prepared for college, of course, as were all her classmates. When my turn came just a year later, I was fully prepared for the compelling 4 years at Wayland campaign. The youngest of 4, I had loved coming to campus to visit my sister and her friends, and I knew where I wanted to go to high school. The tuition, the room, the board was expensive. I'll spare your parents the actual details, but it was the same. They say this will be the best investment for her moment, and my mom and dad found a way to make it happen. There were 8 freshman girls that year. We lived in 4 rooms on the first floor of Warren Cottage. My 4 years flew by. I rode on my sister's choral coattails for a bit, and then I found this place, Lindsay Auditorium. Paired with a drama director who rolled out 4 full seasons of shows, over 20 in all, this stage became my home away from home. From Rosalia in West Side Story, the feisty girlfriend of one of the sharks, to Anne Frank's mother in The Diary of Anne Frank, to Winnie the Pooh, I truly lived and breathed Wayland Players Theater. By the way, often to the disappointment of my teachers, who regularly reminded me and my parents if she would only apply the same commitment to her schoolwork. The great thing about a school like Wayland is the opportunity to get involved. Although theater was my thing, I'd also played sports, served as class president, even traveled to Bangkok, Thailand, to visit my friend Tippy's family at their invitation. Last week, I actually found the letter that her mom had written to my dad. Someone translated it for him, and the next thing I knew, I was literally boarding one of the very first ever 747s for a flight of a lifetime. I did make it to college. I actually had great options, and I chose York University. As the next 4 years of college unfolded, something interesting started to happen to me. I didn't realize it then, but I was becoming very aware and intrigued about the world of schools and education. I switched from my undergraduate acting major in the School of the Arts rather quickly and found the Department of Educational Theater, a much better fit. It allowed me to return to the rich selection of liberal arts courses while simultaneously learning about the craft of theater and how to teach it. This was the 70s, mind you. The arts were being slashed from school programs, so my prospect of getting employed as a theater teacher was slim to none. Regardless, I had a college degree, and I bridged the there are no teaching jobs gap by selling shoes at Marshall Field's, Macy's now, in Evanston. I was actually quite good at it, I would develop little dramatic scenarios about all of my customers, find ways to sell them every color of suede boot we had in stock. My proudest moment was when our little area was chosen top seller of the month, but I digress. I am now 23 and my phone rings. It is Wayland's headmaster, not Mr. Leonard's yet. And he wondered if I could possibly help them out. There was a mid-year vacancy and they needed somebody to direct the spring play and help out with student activities. To sweeten the pot, if I liked it, they would extend the contract through the next school year. When I graduated in 1973, I was certainly never thinking I would return for anything other than a reunion. Although someone did remind me lately that our class prophecy said that I would. I don't know if you still have class prophecies, but if you do, take a good look. I started 2 weeks later in December of 1978. My half-year salary was a whopping $8,000. My first office was actually in the foyer of this building, and the first new friend I made was Joe Leonard's. And now for the disclaimer. Yes, I could share a story or two about your head of school. But then again, he could return the favor, and my mom is in the audience today, along with my husband and my son. So I'm afraid the stories are going to have to stay with us. I will tell you, however, one of the best things about being re-engaged with Wayland has been reconnecting with my dear friends. The next 9 years were a blur of activity, teaching, directing, taking students to New York City for theater trips, driving to Madison over 3 summers to get my master's degree. Wayland continued to support me in so many ways. They allowed me to do a sabbatical year at Teachers College, Columbia University. Miss Elpa took care of my dog. That's not even the speech, I just remembered that. And then I was promoted to Director of Admissions and Financial Aid upon my return. They also agreed to let me keep directing plays. They allowed me to co-chair the first ever National Women Educators in Independent School Conference right here at Wayland. None other than Gloria Steinem was our keynote speaker. But all good things usually come to an end, and it was time to leave the Wayland nest. My confidence had grown as an administrator, so when the opportunity came to become the head of an art school, I took the leap. It was an extraordinary experiment combining college preparatory education with a comprehensive program in performing arts. 4 years later, due to financial challenges, we had to close the school. It was the hardest thing I have ever had to do, but I never regretted it. Instead, I focused on helping find new schools for my teachers. All of them went on to serve with distinction at selected public and independent schools, and our students, who were an amazingly talented and resilient group, thrived in their new schools as well. If I had never made the move to St. Paul, I would have missed out on this remarkable opportunity. And most importantly, I would have never met my husband. A perfect example of the adage, no risk, no reward. The most recent chapter has me in Chicago. I have called Latin School home for 22 years. During that time, my son Sam started at junior kindergarten and graduated 14 years later as the school celebrated its 125th anniversary. A youngster compared to Wayland. I know that you have been around much longer. I've had wonderful opportunities at Latin, even developing a niche as a go-to interim for various roles over the year. Just 2 weeks ago, I turned 60 and was surprised with a birthday party lower school style. Latin has allowed me to continue my passion for working with children, parents, and teachers. A passion that I now know started 42 years ago, right here in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. So seniors, close your eyes for a moment, literally or figuratively. Fast forward 42 years. It's now 2057. And what did you find in your Wayland scrapbook? Yesterday's leather-bound books, pages filled with letters, newspaper articles, playbills, grade reports, dried corsages, and other nostalgia became your virtual collection of tweets, Snapchat posts, and texts. Regardless of the format, what did you cherish from this time in your life? I hope you took time over the decades to reflect on what part of you was nurtured right here. I hope you found a way to stay connected with your teachers and your friends. I hope you took risks. I hope you failed and tried again. I hope you found people to love and spend your life with. I hope you stayed true to your millennial traits, confident, connected, and open to change. I hope you had fun. I hope you remembered to thank your parents for having you and for the privilege of coming here to learn and grow. I hope you found many opportunities to share how proud you are to be a graduate of this amazing school. Now we come back to this moment, May 23rd, 2015. I am deeply honored to belong to the Wayland Academy community. I am blessed with having had so many parts to play: student, teacher, alumna, and trustee. Thank you for letting me come home again and share my Wayland story. On behalf of everyone here today, we can't wait to hear yours. I wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much. We'll have the presentation of awards now. Please, when you approach, come up this way and receive the award and return to your seats. The Weimer K. Hicks Achievement Award is given to that senior who, in the estimation of the faculty, has shown marked progress in all phases of Wayland life. This year's recipient is Robert Bottom. Writing Award is presented to a senior in recognition of his or her outstanding writing while a student in the Academy. The award is given at commencement to highlight the goals of the Wayland Writing Initiative. The winners are inscribed in a plaque which hangs in Rounding Hall. The recipient of the Wayland Academy Writing Award this year is Taylor Williams. The Wayland Alumni Association presents two awards known as the Alumni Memorial Service Awards for service to the school. The honor is granted irrespective of class, scholastic, or athletic ability to that young man and to that young woman who have, in the opinion of the faculty, made valuable contributions to Wayland through unselfish service and generous giving of their time and talents. The winners are inscribed in a plaque which hangs in Rounding Hall. The first recipient this year is Milo King. The second recipient is Hannah Edward. The Board of Trustees Awards go to that young man and that young woman who have demonstrated an interest in Wayland whose performances have helped to create loyalty and dedication toward the goals and objectives embraced in Wayland education. Their contributions to dormitory living, extracurricular activities, and all other phases of campus life are considered in making the award. The first recipient this year is Ogan Alpar. The second recipient is Lolo Wall. In 1979, Wayland Academy initiated the Glenn and Ella Drive in memory of two former alumni, benefactors, and trustees. The award is given to that student, irrespective of class, whose behavior is exemplary in religious earnestness and moral sensitivity. Our recipient today is Jeanette Ingabiri. The James P. Freeman President's Award is unlike any of the other awards that I'm going to present this morning, in that the other awards are all given at by vote of the faculty. This award, the Freeman Award, is given to one of the members of the class of 2015 by the class of 2015. In 1995, Ralph Robinson, class of 64, established an award in memory of one of his Wayland classmates. This award is presented annually by the members of the senior class to the individual who exemplifies the characteristics of Jim Freeman in his or her relationships with others. Jim Freeman, class of 64, was recognized as a non-judgmental friend to all groups, an individual who was open and available to anyone and who gave of himself to others without expectation of gain. Jim demonstrated loving kindness equally to everyone with whom he interacted. I'm pleased to present the James P. Freeman President's Award today to Lola Wall. The Head of Schools Awards are special awards which are given on those occasions when students deserve special recognition for long-term contributions to the student body and the community of Wayland Academy. It gives me much satisfaction to make two such presentations today, again, on the recommendation of the faculty. The first award is given to Kelly Droll. And the second award is given to Robert Bachman. The Kid Mayor Sports Cup is primarily an athletic award based on the following qualifications. The recipient must be a member of the girls' varsity club in good standing, must have earned a varsity letter in at least one sport, must have satisfactory scholastic standing, must have displayed good citizenship and lofty ideals of sportsmanlike conduct, in various undertakings. The 2015 Kidmeyer Sports Award is given to Jay Ramirez. The Lysart Cup is given to the young man who has best fulfilled the following standards. One is lettered in one sport and has taken part in 2 others, has a satisfactory scholastic standing, and is outstanding in leadership in all forms of activity, and whose sportsmanship is unquestionable. This year's Lysart Cup recipient is Jeff Bureau. We end this presentation with student awards with the 2 most significant awards the Academy gives to the graduating class. The Edwin Putnam Brown Award is the most significant honor bestowed upon a young man at Wayland Academy. It is given to that senior who, with a sense of social responsibility and refined school loyalty, has shown the highest type of leadership. His name is inscribed on a plaque around the hall, and the recipient receives his own award. It gives me great pleasure this morning to present the 2015 Edwin Putnam Brown Award to Jack Sy. The Laura A. McDonald Award is the most significant honor bestowed upon the young woman at Wayland Academy. It's given to the senior whose actions and demeanor bespeak self-respect, courteous consideration for others, and loyal to the Academy and its traditions. She must be a leader in scholarship and other school activities. Her name is inscribed in a plaque in Roundy Hall, and the recipient receives her own inscribed award. It gives me great pleasure this morning to present the 2015 Laura A. McDonald Award to Leah Wall. 2015, has attended Wayland for 4 years as a day student. Everyone who knows and appreciates Sophie knows that she has strong opinions that are based in solid thought and argument. You may not always agree with her, but you know that she's sincerely believes. To round out this picture, one of her teachers adds that she has an incredibly kind soul. Her mental toughness has served her well in track and cross country, as well as in the Model U men, where she was able to show her effective debate skills. As one of her teachers this year, I have described her use of Spanish as fearless. Not perfect yet, but it's on her way. But still fearless. She's one of the very few non-native speakers I've had the privilege of saying that about her. And of course, she's taken challenging courses that her grades are good and her GPA is high, and she's in good society. In the fall, she'll be attending Warren Wilson College in North Carolina. It gives me pleasure to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2015, Sophie Wayland.
When I heard that I was selected valedictorian of our class, my initial reaction was a bit stunned, followed momentarily by relative delight, and immediately chased by imminent dread, as I realized that I would have to prepare this farewell speech. So, as I thought about this day, I wondered what we will take with us when we leave Wayland Academy, other than our button-down shirts, khaki pants, and closed-toed shoes. And I wondered, what can I say? What message can I give that is remarkable, memorable, distinct, and profound? The truth is that the most profound things in life are felt and require no words at all. Think for a moment about orientation, the determination to climb the wall. Oh, so pretty guys, though. Woo! Woo! Think for a moment about the 28 different countries represented on this campus this year. The uniqueness and beauty of Asia, Africa, Europe, the Caribbean, as well as the United States. We have lived in extraordinary diversity. Think for a moment about where we are and what we are doing right now. What we remember from this day. It is all but certain that the 40 of us graduated from Wayland Academy today will never again be together as one group. With that in mind, the finality of looking at you all here now is nearly over. However, though we will separate, our memories cannot be erased. Our memories allow us permanency in a fleetingly temporary world. Take a moment, look around you, breathe it in. This is a profound moment. Alexander Solzhenitsyn in the Gulag Archipelago suggested to know and to understand the abstractions in life, rather than to own material possessions, saying own only what you can carry with you, no languages, no countries, no people. Let your memory be your travel bag. So, as you travel to destinations beyond this knowledge and character building, tradition-filled place, travel lightly. Use your knowledge, define your character, and honor the traditions of life, old and new. Because as we honor traditions, we learn to honor ourselves, and ultimately, we honor each other. Today, I'm not only honoring the age-old traditions of Wayland Academy, but I'm honoring the slightly newer tradition of John Hill's Balkan. But first, let me take a selfie.
days, you wake up and want to change the world. Others, you just want to break that same world in two. But most of the time, you just have to get on with the business of living. I wish you all many wonderful days of not only wanting to change the world, but actually doing it. And finally, thank you for the memories. Pack your bags well, travel safely, and until we meet again, Elvede, adieu, ciao, ma salama, farewell, saijin, namaste, do usted, sorry, Rusty, Zdravo, una cariñosa despedida, farewell, and never be afraid to be yourself.
Will the senior class of Wayland Academy please rise? Mr. Sullivan, I am pleased to present to you the Wayland Academy class of 2015. They have been judged by the faculty of the Academy to be fully qualified and in all ways worthy of the school diplomas, which we ask you to confer upon at this time.
Member of the Board of Trustees of Wayland Academy. With the authority of the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the status of secondary school graduates and welcome you to our Society of Scholars. Would each of you in turn come forward and receive your diploma, which is a symbol of your accomplishment.
Jeanette Igabire. Bernice Kasongo. Emiliano Leon King. Omolola Owoko Anyanjoke Labal. Jeff Lee. Luca Maciek. Abdurrahman Ahmed Mahmoud. Ana Cristina Menendez Castillo. Hannah Marie Newert. Alexis Antonio Osorio. Crystal Liu Fan. Jade Nicole Ramirez. Jessica Shakira Wiesel. Charis Michelle Rodriguez. Maggie Jo Sanderson. Joseph Carl Segerman. Mstislav Yakovlevich Shorstrom. Ellie Van Tron. Aiken Tufan. Leah Stephanie Wall. Savannah Sue Warren. cum laude. Ryan Marie Wilkie. cum laude. Taylor Marie Williams.
recently read a piece by David Brooks in the New York Times. He was writing about competition, and he sees in people to get ahead, to get more, to have more than others, to achieve more, to have more power, to be richer, to have more things. Translated into your situations, to get better grades, to get into the right colleges, to find a good job, etc. There's a common topic around here as we try to provide you the space to get what you need, to achieve all that you can, to help you see that you are more than the grades you get and the schools that you get into. The ideal person that Brooks posits does not try to be better than someone else, but rather tries to be better than he or she used to be. The goal is to be better than you were yesterday. I think the goal changes your focus on today. All I'm trying to do is to be better than I was yesterday. My actions become the competition. The challenges like work, family, and there will be times when you are forced to compete against stiff odds. Don't seem so daunting when you put things in this perspective. Just be better than you were yesterday. I've said this many times in the past, but I think it deserves repetition this morning. There's a quote stenciled on the wall of Randy Hall that has always summarized the goal for me since I first read it in 1978 on my first ever visit to the school. I think it's fitting that visiting students and families and guests to the Academy see the quote too and learn something about our community. The quote is attributed to William James, and it goes like this: "The greatest use of life is to spend it for something that we're not asking." Since I'm a language teacher and will do the repetition, I'll do it again. The great use of life is to spend it for something that will not last. Think outside yourselves and your own growth concerns. Think about what you can do to help others. Think about how you can make life better for those who have not had the privilege of the kind of education that you have. Think about the amazing diversity of people and ideas you can surround with and share that with your new communities. Lastly, we've been talking around here a lot about outcomes. What will you all take away from the Academy, from your time here, beyond the friends, beyond the experiences, both good and otherwise? What is it that a Wayland graduate takes away? See how you measure up. A Wayland graduate writes persuasively, thinks critically, contributes to solutions, understands his or her place in the global world, is comfortable with diversity of people and ideas, appreciates that physical health and wellness are essential to the living, shows empathy towards those with fewer resources or differing skills, exhibits integrity in actions, seeks ways to serve others, is passionate about life and work, sets and pursues goals, and probably most importantly, does not avoid challenges. We, all of us, wish you all the best going forward. Know that we are proud of you and sure that you will all do well. Please keep us up to date and remember that you can do better. Congratulations to all.
Please rise. Let us pray. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rain fall softly upon your field. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Our dear graduates, may God bless you and keep you, and rain his blessings upon you all the days of your life. God bless the class of 2015, and God bless Wayland Academy. Amen.